Okay, Tom, please tell us which was the idea that inspired the creation of TerraCycle.
So TerraCycle started 9 years ago, and the entire concept came about because I was really fascinated with the idea of garbage. The whole fascination for me began when my friends and I were trying to grow some plants, and we realized that the best way to make the plants work was feeding them worm poop, which is organic waste fed to worms, and the worms poop out worm poop, and it's a fantastic fertilizer. And I got thinking about the idea of garbage because garbage doesn't exist in nature in any capacity. It's a completely man-made idea and also probably a very modern idea, something that is basically the sum of consumption and complex materials. And so TerraCycle came out in the effort to try to create a solution to garbage. We started with fertilizer. That was our first product. We basically packaged liquid fertilizer in used soda bottles and then sold that at Walmart and Home Depot and some major retailers. And for our first 4 years, from 2003 to 2007, we grew the fertilizer business into about a $3.5 million business. Then we realized that the power that we discovered in the fertilizer, which is making a product entirely out of garbage, can be applied to about any type of garbage that exists, which makes those type of garbages also have a solution on. So what TerraCycle does today now, in 21 countries around the world, is partner with major brands. Like here in Mexico, we're partnered with Sabritas, Mesa, Bimbo, Tang, Colgate, to collect specific types of waste. So with Colgate, for example, they finance a program to collect toothpaste tubes and toothbrushes in their packaging. It's very simple to do it. You just go to the TerraCycle website at terracycle.com.mx and sign up. And you can take a free cardboard box, fill it up with that type of garbage, irrelevant of brand. Even if it's Colgate financing the program, any brand can be put in the box. Then once you've filled up the box, say with 1,000 pieces of packaging, you go back to our website, download a free UPS shipping label, and send it to our warehouse, either in Mexico City or in Monterrey. Then when we receive it, we check it in, we credit your account 25 centavos for every piece of garbage you collected, and then you get to choose any school or charity to give that money to. Then we take the waste and either reuse it, upcycle it, or recycle it into new products. And that's basically how TerraCycle's grown now all over the world. All started with fertilizer. Today we make over 1,500 products and collect over 150 types of different types of garbage around the world.
Which are the main characteristics that an entrepreneur should have in order to create a successful business?
I think the most important things for an entrepreneur to have, I think more than anything, is guts. Kahunas, whatever you say, but something where you're willing to accept risk and not to be depressed by it. Because when you start a business, look, now, TerraCycle is a big business, it's been 10 years and everything seems great. And it is great. But it wasn't like that 10 years ago. I remember I ended up dropping out of Princeton and slept in a photocopy room for 1.5 years to build the business. Now that's a very depressing situation. So I think the biggest thing an entrepreneur can have is the tolerance to take risk and to be able to learn from that risk. Because the skill of management, the skill of how to raise money, all these things you can learn. But it takes a certain characteristic where you are going to be okay to accept risk.
Okay. Under this globalized context, which are the key factors that an entrepreneur should consider in order to be competitive?
I think the recipe for, there's two types of entrepreneurs out there. There's the entrepreneurs that go after any type of business, like open a restaurant, open a dry cleaning stand or a shoe store. That is entrepreneurship, but that is limited to growth, because when you open a restaurant, everyone has a restaurant on every corner, and it's difficult to create something unique. I think the other type of entrepreneur is the one that we read about in magazines and creates unique ideas where it's really high growth entrepreneurship. The type of entrepreneurs that go after venture capital, raise financing, and go public one day, that type of story. That requires a unique and scalable idea. I think it's important to be unique because then you don't have competition. TerraCycle, after 10 years, doesn't have any competition. The other aspect is to be scalable because you want to be able to grow very, very quickly. Now, I think one recipe to be unique and scalable, and this is from my own perspective, is look at green businesses, environmental businesses, because there's so much demand for environmental business, but there's no supply. There's very, very few businesses out there providing services like what we do, but we're not the only ones, there could be more. And also then to think about solving global problems that major companies have, because that will allow you to scale very quickly. We're in 21 countries. We're in 21 countries because of us solving problems for major multinational companies.
Okay. The last question is, what will be your recommendation for a green business to be competitive versus a non-green business that offers the same quality with a lower price?
So one of the big challenges for green business, especially if you make products, is by making your product better, or green, or fair trade, or whatever term you put to it, it increases cost. And so it's a very big problem because you can compete against the same product, but it's a much higher cost even though it's greener. So I think there's a couple of aspects to look at. What TerraCycle has done to solve for this is we looked at the solution in garbage, because garbage is something you can get paid to receive. So the economics are different, and you can create a product that is better, greener, and most importantly, cheaper if you use garbage. Now, let's say maybe you don't want to use garbage, then you need to look at another differentiating aspect that makes your product not the same as whatever else you're competing against. A good example is Tom's Shoes. In Tom's Shoes, their product is extremely expensive. It's a $50 pair of shoes that should sell for $10. But what's different is every time you buy one of their shoes, someone in need gets a pair of shoes. So it's a differentiating aspect that someone like Nike or Adidas just doesn't have. And so you need to differentiate beyond the same product, because fundamentally, people will not buy the same thing for more money even if it's greener. They just won't.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other
Can I
questions?
do like 2 more?